Hello guys, long time no see. Um, in this time since I've last made a video, I was doing an internship, wrapped that up. It's pretty cool, learned a lot. And then I went on a trip. It was sponsored by my club and organization. And I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't know. I'm feeling very I don't know, very weird about I think midterms and politics in general. Um I, I've been thinking more and more how I want to disalign myself with the Democratic Party just because I genuinely feel like there's a lack of leadership, and I don't necessarily like the phrase like the lesser of both evils, you know what I mean? Because in my eyes, I don't even think it's like the lesser of both evils. I think they're just evil in their own ways at this point. I don't necessarily think that they represent the views of the American public. I don't think they represent the views of the world since they're such a global influence. I don't think that a lot of people, well, I think all of our bridges have been burned with most countries outside of America and outside their treaties and things of that nature. Not just because we're American, nothing's gonna really happen. Nobody's gonna test us in any real way, you know what I mean? Unless it's like Mexico with like financial, you know what I mean, financial bullshit. Maybe Canada, you know what I mean? Countries like that, they'll play a good hand, or like China, obviously they'll play a strong hand. But I just don't think the United States is gonna necessarily represent us in the next coming years. Obviously, I think once Trump's out of office, if he gets out of office, a lot of these policies will try to be reversed, and this that, and the other. But I feel like right now is such a big split between, I think, identities in each party. Um, I think the Republicans, they feel, I wouldn't even say misrepresented, but I think they are starting to see like a more extremist side come out. And I think even them, they just feel like they're going in a wrong direction. Um, and with Trump just doing whatever he wants, I think it's been very clear, even to them, that it's weird. It's weird what he's doing, which is it's always been weird. But I think that honeymoon has gone down, and I think now he's really not fooling anybody unless he's like one of the people that are like super influential to him, that being like wealthy billionaires that profit off of Trump regardless. You know what I mean? Just because of tax breaks and things of that nature. But then I look at the Democratic Party. Oh, and let me get to it actually. I so my club, we talk about political polarization and how to stop it and things of that nature. And I'm like, I don't necessarily think that I think either side, or maybe they do. I'm not too sure. People who are like, you know what I mean, like super focused in on their own political world and political spectrum. I don't think they necessarily understand, I guess, either side, which they don't, which is that's the whole point of the club, is that they don't necessarily understand either side. But I think it's so interesting and bizarre when I talk to some people who, I think the phrase "know your enemy" or "know your friend but know your enemy" even more, like, you know what I mean, like that. It's probably a better way to phrase it, but you guys know what I mean. I think that phrase is so, I think, important to learn if you're in politics, because obviously that goes a long way, knowing what your political, I guess, opposite, you know what I mean? If you want to, you know what I mean? Obviously with politics, you have to play either sides. Like, anybody who tells you that they don't play with each other, they separate themselves from each other, is a lie. They have to work together somehow, some way. They need to work together in order to make the country work. And then there's a lot of compromise going on, and this, that, and the other. You need to compromise whenever you're with your party. That's just what happens. You need to compromise, and you need people who can compromise. And some people can compromise better than others, and they're seen more as like moderates, things like that. But I digress. I went to the summit, and this summit, you can kind of tell who knows what about or like political knowledge. You know what I mean? Some people just get there and they just kind of bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. There's this one guy, he was like so I don't know. Like he was obviously Republican. I didn't know from what school he came from, but he was obviously he felt a type of way about a certain about the Democratic Party, and he said that he feared that the Democratic Party was going to become more and more socialist, and they're leaning into more I guess candidates like AOCs and Zoran Mamdani's and whatever. I think in Minnesota right now there's an election going on with a socialist running for a seat in the Senate, and I just think it's so funny seeing like hearing that because I'm like that can't be further from the truth. Like the Democratic Party will kill you, bro. They will dead ass hang you from a fucking bro. They will hang you from your feet downwards, bro. Bleed you out like a fucking chicken before supporting a socialist, dude. And I think that's such a disconnect from them. I think they think that the Democratic Party wants socialists, but I'm like I think that's so completely like false. The only time people move into extreme ideals like that, which I wouldn't even consider socialism like an extreme ideal, but in America it's considered that. So we'll go with it. I think the only reason why people move into those directions is because they think that they're not being represented in government in the best ways. And I think that's so clear in so many states where it's like the Democratic Party has failed us. The Republican Party is going to fail us even more. So now we're just moving in a completely different direction. And I think right now is a clear example of even like a cultural revolution. If I'm being honest with you, there's so many I guess like cultural fuck. What's the word? I wouldn't say squads. It's like not platoons. A lot of cultural things in a pot. You know what I mean? A lot of things are brewing in the country right now politically, and usually we haven't really necessarily seen all this like we haven't seen all this action politically since like maybe the 70s, really 70s and 60s, with the Brown Berets, the Farm Worker Union, Chicano movement, the Civil Rights era, just extreme political movement. And I think at the core of this is class. If it's always been at the core. The core has always been class, but obviously the government takes liberties at what they want to choose and what they want. Compromise, as I said. Um, Last time it was about class and race, which often very do play the same similar roles just because of the institutions that hold up the United States are just built that way to I guess subtly enforce us of our races, ethnicities, and our communities, things of that nature. So I just find it very like interesting that it's like what's going to be the boiling point? You know what I mean? What will be the point that really sets off the kettle? What will really let it all out? I'm hoping, I'm really hoping it's not as dangerous as what I think it will be because I think a lot of blood will be spilled. I, and I don't want to fearmonger either, but I just fear that it's going to be another one of those things where America is going to do something to its citizens. They're going to kill a citizen in an extremely brutal way, or martyr a citizen, or even, I don't even know, just do some bullshit. And that'll be something that sets off the public. I think something that involves someone losing their life. It feels like a ticking time bomb, really, if I'm being honest with you. Um, as we mentioned with the whole ICE raids a couple months ago, um, our com- our communities, our Hispanic communities, my um the Hispanic community in general has been hit a lot these past couple of days. It's been an increase in ICE patrolling around the country. Um, there was a recent earthquake in Colombia, and it's been very hard for a lot of these Hispanic communities in the United States, whether they're immigrants from, I mean, anywhere in Latin America. It's genuinely been very frustrating to see, especially seeing that none of our public officials are really saying anything about it because, like I said, I don't think they necessarily represent those communities, which they don't. You know what I mean? They're not citizens, so obviously why would they represent them? In their heads, they don't necessarily care about, well, maybe they care a little bit about how they're treated, but maybe not necessarily care about who they are underneath all of that. You know what I mean? Humans and all of that. You know, they'll tell you, yeah, nobody should be separated from their families. Nobody should be killed. And, that's true to some extent. Nobody should be killed. But, what I'm seeing is a lot of, they just don't care. I'm not gonna lie. They just kind of move on with their days. And I think I found that very disheartening to see, especially in the officials here in Mexico, or not in Mexico, in Georgia. I just find it very disheartening just seeing all that because to me it's like you don't care, you don't give a fuck. It's okay, you don't give a fuck. Like just say it. Deadass. Word everything I love. Just say it. I'm waiting for that shit to say. Like just be honest. Oh no. Well, actually, yeah. Be honest because I'm so ready to move away from all of this. If I'm being so honest with you, I'm so ready to move away from, I guess, from them. I wanna have hope. I wanna have belief, but I just fear every single time I give them the benefit of the doubt, they find a way to disappoint me. And I know they're like, okay, well, if you don't want them to do that, then why don't you step up to the plate? Fuck no. Nah, I might. I don't know. I'll cook something up. We'll see. But to me, it's just like, bro, what the hell? You know what I mean? I'm I'm just so tired of that shit. Like, obviously, I fear, and I think I talked about this like in another video before, but like the Democratic Party will keep a lot of these ICE policies because they benefit them in some way somehow. They will just it'll benefit them. If we're being honest here, whether we like it or not, deportations have been at a outstanding rate. A lot of people are being deported, which to the government is pretty much a net positive. If we're being honest, as much as I hate to say it, it is a net positive for them because it looks good to say that, like, yeah, we're on top of our stuff, our border secure, nobody can like fuck with us. If you know what I mean, if we're being honest, that's just what it is. That's just what it is. They're gonna keep it. They're gonna keep a lot of these policies just because it works. Now the Democratic Party, they'll probably be a little bit more subtle about it. They'll probably not be posting fucking TikTok clips about people getting deported and shit. But it's like, just because you're not seeing, just because it's not being paraded around, it doesn't mean it's not gonna be seen. No, you know what I mean. People, regardless, are gonna be like, well, um, they're deporting the criminals, and yeah, me, 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 me. And to some extent, yeah, what I mean. Criminals are gonna be deported, um, but like I said, I don't necessarily think it's more about criminals being deported, more so about immigrants being deported, because regardless, it looks good on the United States to have a strong border. So yeah, that's that. I've been feeling very eerie about these midterms elections just because I feel like everything just seems so like smoke and mirrors. I think I've seen past the mirrors and I've looked into the smoke and I saw a machine. And I'm sick of like looking at this machine and thinking it's gonna, I don't know, maybe maybe that's an illusion too. Maybe the machine's the illusion, but it's not. That's genuinely where the tricks end. So I don't know. I don't know. That's that. I was watching 10 minutes of the EDP documentary, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, damn, bro, I've known EDP for a long ass time. I'm not gonna lie. I hate to say that, like if he was my buddy or something, but no, like I've known about him for a pretty long time. Um, I think I knew him maybe prior. Yeah, I think it was prior to whenever the Eagles won the Super Bowl. He was popular. If you saw clip, if you were online in like I guess those spaces, um, you would know who EDP is. EDP is he was super popular back in the day. And I don't know, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, dude, I've been I've been on the internet for such a long amount of time to see these people. I'm like, dude, how the fuck did I watch these people like as a kid? How did I watch them and just like not like like be like kind of like them, I guess. I don't know. I'm just like I've grew up watching these people. Like I grew like one of my favorite one of my favorite streamers back in the day was Etika, which rest in peace. But a lot of the Etika content was but I wouldn't say it's similar to EDP. I wouldn't say that at all. But a child should not be watching Etika. Um, well, maybe he should. I don't know. I really liked him because he would do funny reactions to the Smash Bros characters, and he would do Smash Bros news and Smash Bros leaks. And to me, I don't know. I just thought that was super funny. I was like, dude, I love Smash Bros. So I don't know. I don't know what this came out of, but I just think it's so crazy that I was watching those kinds of people back in the day. Just because it's like, why? Like, why are you watching this shit, bro? Obviously, as a kid, you don't necessarily know what you're watching, so it's obviously it's. But I just thought it's crazy. Like, why was I watching that shit? I'm rambling right now, but I don't know. Super crazy, super crazy. Oh, I bought So I've been trying to grow out my physical collections, right? Just because I don't know. I've been falling in love with I guess ownership. Like owning the idea of you owning something. Um and as capitalistic as that sounds, I think it's more rooted in the people than it is in this like laissez-faire kind of idea. So I brought back all of my FIFA games because I've had a I've had this itch. I don't know, like just to play like these old FIFA games that I used to play when I was a kid, just because it was I don't know, like that was my childhood. So I brought back FIFA 17, which to me, in my opinion, FIFA 17 and FIFA 23, if I'm being honest, were some of my favorite games like ever. Like some of the best like gaming moments I've had is on FIFA 17 and FIFA 23. I learned how to play the game on FIFA 17, but it like in general is such a fucking beautiful game. It runs smooth. It was the first switch into the Frostbite engine, and I don't know, like you had the story mode, which people have their gripes about. I don't really give a fuck, but like it did its job, and I think that's I don't know, I think that's cool as fuck. I think that is cool as fuck. I think it was definitely a fucking I don't know. It was just different. And then also, guys, I have bought one of my favorite albums. I think I talked about it last video. I bought Savage Mode 2. I bought it on the vinyl. I did put it in my suitcase and it did crease a bit. Um so that's I can't play this anymore. But it's so fucking cool, guys. Guys, as like a teenager, this was like that was my favorite fucking album, dude. That was genuinely, dude, when I tell you that's one of the only albums that I've cried to, bro. You know how fucking crazy that is? I cried to Savage Mode 2, bro. Like that was me, bro. Me. Anyway, anyways, yeah, I bought Savage Mode 2 and then I think I showed y'all that I had Pink Panthers as well. Um if y'all know me, I have the biggest piece of admiration and just love in my heart towards Pink Panthers. I think Pink Panthers is a fucking fantastic artist, a fucking like fucking wonder child. If I'm being honest with you, so fucking awesome. And I'm glad that I don't know, she's been given the keys. Like, you know what I mean, given the keys to do whatever the fuck she wants. That is so fucking cool. Because I think genuinely, if you were gonna give that to somebody, it would be her. She gives me a lot of A lot of hope for music. I'm really excited to hear what she gets to put out next. Because Fancy That, in my opinion, was the best album in like 2025. That was, it's not even an album, it was an EP, but fucking phenomenal, dude. One of the best albums I've ever listened to. What else? What else do I have to tell you guys? I'm gonna be so busy, bro. I'm actually so scared. But I think it'll work out. I think it all works out in the end and whatnot. But yeah. Yeah, politics is scary. Um, that's why I don't know. I fucking hate politics. Politics is bullshit. I feel a real lack of leadership in politics, and I think that's just something that I've noticed about myself recently. Is just the like I just cannot support bad leadership. I will not co-sign that. I will not be behind that, and I will just most definitely just not be like empathetic to it because lack of leadership is something that's so fucking huge, bro. That shit trickles down and that shit is felt everywhere, bro. And it's so like secondhand embarrassment in a way. And I fucking hate that. I don't like that. Um yeah. Shit's crazy. Shit's crazy. I don't even know what to tell you, babe. I don't even know. But yeah, it is what it is though. Shout out the gang. Shout out shout out Okay, bye.